So we're going live, and welcome everyone that has been waiting for this community call. My name is Menina Chow. I'm part of the SAP community team, your host for today's session, SAP Community Call, about the SAP Task Center service and action, not just a demo, but also a demo. And with me is Uta Schlöge. She's a product expert of SAP Business Process Automation at SAP. And we also have Fabian Lehmann, who is product expert for cross architecture at SAP. And both will share insights to SAP Task Center. For everyone watching that already has some burning questions, let us know. As always, we have a dedicated time towards the end of the call where we want to address your questions. Feel free to already post them. We'll interact in chat. And with that, I hope you enjoy the session today. If you do, always give us a like. And I'm happy to hand over to Uta.
Yes, hello. Also a warm welcome from my side. And so I will start the presentation, and after that Fabian will take over. So I will give you a short overview of the SAP Task Center, what it is, and a little demo. And after that you will get some hands-on from Fabian, how to set it up, how to really work with the software, not only as end user, but also in much more deepness. So I will take it relatively short, but making sure that everybody can follow, even if you're a beginner. Yeah, as you're supposed to to know, this is a typical disclaimer that all the information we are giving to you here is proprietary to SAP. So what is SAP Task Center all about? So today's problems in the landscapes of many of the customers are that they have tasks scattered around in many different kinds of inboxes. This can be the email, where they have lots of emails, and between the emails there are some tasks. They might get lost, for example, or they have in various different systems the tasks. They have the problem that they have to log on to each system to find their way to that inbox. And then often enough in these different systems, they have different user experiences. So maybe the approval button is on the right top or on the left corner, or they have different nomenclatures. So the namings are different between the systems, and many people get a little bit lost or just lose time. And then even they might start to approve quite fast, instead of having all the information which would be more suitable for them to be able to know, is it good to approve or is it better to send it back first, so that people can rework and after that get the task again in a better fashion with more quality. So what have we done to get away of all these problems? So we tried to have a new solution with one single inbox, which can take in all the tasks from the various systems. And you can just work on this large list to decide which tasks do I work on first. You have many filtering possibilities. And then the subsequent processing can continue in the various systems. So this is a brand new product. We have created it end of last year. So we are GA since end of last year. And now we have started to add the 4 first applications to send tasks to the SAP Task Center. And we are working towards adding more and more to make sure that our vision becomes true, that we can integrate all SAP applications and later on also third-party applications for you. So how does it look like? The applications we work with are the S/4HANA. It can be on-premise or on cloud. We have already integrated SuccessFactors and Fieldglass. And very soon, we will integrate Ariba and Concur. You will already see them in the demo, but we still have to make them enterprise ready. That's why we deliver them rather in Q3. You will see that later on the roadmap. So it starts usually already on this slide that people post questions about the roadmap. Please be a little bit patient. I will show you the roadmap later on. Now we want to first understand the SAP Task Center. So SAP Task Center service gets all the tasks from these systems and either in a push or in a pull mode. The application can decide on that. So the push mode is more performant, so you should consider that option. And then the end user can approve. This approval action is sent back to the application and the process can continue running. So this is a little bit of architecture. You will see much more architecture from Fabian later on. Let's jump into the system now to see it. So you could imagine, first of all, that you're let's say you're a project manager and you're at the airport. You already start working on some of your tasks on your mobile phone. This is one of the nice solutions that we have it already on the mobile also. So you can already work on some relatively easy tasks where you don't need too much context information, maybe some leave requests or similar things. And then your plane starts, you stop working, but when you come home or to the office, then you can continue working in the web UI, and maybe now you want to work on the more sophisticated tasks or also on some high priority tasks. So you're logging on to your web UI, and in the SAP systems, you typically arrive in the Launchpad, as most of you will know that already. And then you can see various applications here. We have added some examples from SuccessFactors, banking, and so on. And you can see here the Task Center. This is the Task Center for the business end user. And only if you're an administrator, you will be able to see the Task Center administration tile. Let's jump into the Task Center. And you see the large list . On the top, the system explains you how many tasks you have to work on. Now I only have 18 tasks. This is already well feasible. There are a bunch of people who have hundreds of tasks per day. They have the possibility to filter here. And now, for example, I could say I first want to see the task from Concur, for example. For sure, in your company, you have the possibility to relabel these filter possibilities. You can give them a much easier to understand business expression. For example, about expenses. So another possibility is to sort by task type. In Concur, currently, we only have the expense report approvals, but have a look about the filter fields which you have here. I can now go on the Go button, and now you have more filter criteria. And so, for example, I could say I only want to approve now, because they are the most important ones here for me to approve, those which have a total of more than 1,000 euros or something like that. So you could go in here and work on that. Greater than 1,000 euros, and then you would say go. I have to add the currency then also and things like that. I won't do that here now. It's rather like I want to make you sure that assure you that you have a bunch of filtering possibilities. Then let's look, for example, to Ariba, other types of tasks. So let's go into the company car, for example. Here in this list, you have the possibility also to say, I want to see other columns, I want to sort the columns, I want to go by by priority. First, I want to show the high priority tasks, and after that, the medium priority tasks. There are lots of possibilities that you have here. Now we click onto it and go to the details. So as said, for making sure that you have a, oh, nice. This is a live demo, let's see. Okay, but we are lucky. So I can see the details here of the company car order. How much does it cost and things like that. I can even go to the line items and I can see not only the car, the Volvo, is needed, but also some fuel cards for that employee. And I can even see the history, what had happened before I got this approval. Sometimes it's a much longer list when there were problems with the approval, problems with the quality and things like that. And now here down, you can see I can approve or deny or even write a comment for further processing for the next people. Another possibility that I have is that I can also open the task in the subsequent, in the underlying system, which is Ariba. So here I can press on open task and the task will open in that system. Here you will see the same information. Once again, we have the Volvo with the fuel cards and the history in a little bit more elaborate way. And now I can choose if I want to approve from here or if I want to approve from the task center area. It doesn't matter. It's the same for the underlying Ariba system. So the processing will continue in the same way. So as you have seen on the slide, the data now, the approval data, if I approve here, will be sent to the Ariba system and then it continues. So much about the end user UI. I hope you get a first glimpse about that. Very, very shortly, Task Center administration, only for the more technical people. Here you can see the status of all the systems which we have integrated here. And I can go into each of them. And then I see, okay, first I could see they are all okay. You could have seen that on the screen before. It was just under our pictures here. And now you can see that the initial load completed successfully, that metadata has been successfully fetched, like the task definitions are independent of the instance information of the tasks. And then you can see if push or pull is used. And here in this case, the push was successful. Let's go back to the presentation. I think that the benefits came over for you. You can see, read them out later on when you have a look at the presentation. That's why it's in here. And I want to give you a very short information about the context. So where does SAP Task Center reside in? So you have your industry-specific processes, which go typically end-to-end, and parts of these end-to-end processes are usually used in some SAP systems or non-SAP systems. Here in this area, there would be the industry cloud or the S4 system, Ariba, and so on, the various applications that you might use for creating end-to-end processes. And the applications are enabled by Business Technology Platform. And SAP Task Center is a kernel service of Business Technology Platform. So whenever you have one of the SAP cloud systems, you can get SAP Task Center for free with it. Now, at the same time, SAP Task Center is also a suite quality. I want to make sure that whenever you will be searching for information about SAP Task Center later on, you can either search for Task Center or you can also search for one workflow inbox. So that's the same in the end. And just for you to understand, we have 7 suite qualities and they are intertwined. So the one inbox, for example, so our task center is relying strongly on the security and identity management. So as you can imagine, it always integrates with various applications. So we have to make sure that the users are known in each of these systems and they are propagated to those systems. That's why we need that one. Seamless user experience, most of you are aware of that anyways. So we use Fiori. And I already talked about the aligned domain models to make sure that the nomenclatures are similar between SAP Task Center and the various applications there. So much about the context. And now let's have a short glimpse into mobile. So it's nice that mobile looks similar to the web UI here. So here you can see the amount of tasks that you have, just as we did see it in the web UI. And then you can see in the different systems, how many tasks do I have there? So like you had 2 in Concur and 3 in Ariba, that's a similar visualization here also. And then you can see the different task types, like procurement approval and purchase requisition here. And then this is a task, you can click on it, and then you can get the different information about it. If you scroll down, you will get information and then the approve, reject button and the comment possibility, as we have seen it in the web UI. When you slide to the side, you will have the possibility to get more context information. For sure, it's a little bit more difficult to see everything than in the web UI, but you get lots of things even here in mobile. Let's get to the roadmap, the thing that often enough people are eager to see. We focused on writing down what is possible in Q3 this year, in addition to what we already have. And as already said, Concur was already in the demo, and now we're making it enterprise ready. There we will add scenarios one by one. So we will start with the expense management, and we will continue with the travel management, both in Q3, and in later releases, we will add more scenarios for that application. And then we will have Ariba. So for Ariba here, for example, you have procurement, you have sourcing, you have buying. More scenarios will come later on here again. What is not on the slide, but what I want to convey, we are trying to also incorporate an integration with ByDesign and with C4C, so customer relation management. We hope to get that done in Q3 for you. Then new innovations for the business user will be the mass processing of tasks. So imagine you have lots of leave requests. So you just want to check mark all the leave requests and then in one shot say, I approve all of them. So that's what some of our managers do in any case, without reading all the context information around it. That's one of these business user innovations which we have in mind. Another one that we want to start is substitution management. So to decide who can work on this task instead of me. For example, if I go on vacation, there needs to be another person who approves. But we haven't put that onto Q3 because we will not be able to create a full-blown solution for substitution management that can become very, very large. So we will just start here for the moment. And similarly, we will also start with notification possibilities. There also we will add more and more features time after time. In Q4, we have written down that we want to add the business process management. So we want to integrate the workflow management. Several of you maybe know the workflow management. And a newer version of that is named process automation. We could write process automation instead of that also here. That's mentioned for Q4, but we hope to finish it already in Q3. Maybe it comes earlier than foreseen here. Many people ask about third-party integration. Third-party integration, we will do a POC this year, but we cannot make it enterprise ready yet. So suppose that it will come in 2023. So enough roadmap for the moment. Now we get nearer to Fabian's presentation. So before that, I just want to mention to you that we have some missions. So missions are step-by-step guides who explain you how to set up the task center or integrate it with other LOB applications. You can see we propose you what you should have read before you do it, which preparation you are needed upfront in the system, like having the launchpad, for example. And then there's a step-by-step guide how to really set up the system. We have done that for the task center itself and for the integration of task center with SuccessFactors. We are currently working on more missions, for example, for S4HANA and Ariba. Fabian will explain this architectural slide. I don't want to go into that one for the moment. And I'm at the end of the presentation. So I think it became clear that we want to become the task area for all the SAP applications, and that we are on a good way to integrate more and more of these applications. For you, this link here is very important. Look it up later on, please. There you can always ask questions if you have questions about the solution. This is really your first entry point for everything around the task center. We hope to give you lots of information, but not too much and easy to find. Otherwise, you will have some more specific information here on this slide. You see that all of that also in the community somewhere, but maybe you want to go in a certain sequence. So that's the community page mentioned. And then here, for example, we have 3 blocks. Maybe you want to use the block getting started with Task Center, or you want to know more about suite qualities, then there's another community page for exactly the suite qualities. So over to Fabian with the architecture slide and some hands-on.
Yeah, thanks, Uta, and I will share my screen as well. Wait a second, I shut my screen and it should work now. Yeah, right. Maybe some words to the architecture. I think it's also not really complicated. Yeah, as you already know, it's a BTP service SAP Task Center, therefore it's running on BTP. We have some dependency here, yeah, for sure. That meaning, yeah, the launchpad we have seen before, also by Uta, is also one requirement. That means, yeah, that the Task Center web applications or these WR5 applications are integrated in the launchpad service that we will see later also in the hands-on session. And another requirement which we have here is really in the hard dependency with Cloud Identity Service. That means in detail that we need Cloud Identity Service, especially ERS for the authentication, and also for the identification of the user in the connected LOB systems. Yeah? And therefore, we need to use SAP Cloud Identity Service, but for sure, it's possible also to combine or to connect an own IDP, for example, like Azure, as a central store. But it's a requirement, yeah, as mentioned, yeah, also to use SAP Cloud Identity Service, what we see also later in the mission and also in the hands-on stuff. Yeah? And not to show too much slides, maybe let's have a look on the mission. Yeah, I think we have explained some steps here. I think we have described in the Discovery Center, I guess, and hopefully you know all the Discovery Center, you find all information. Wherever wait a second, let's reload the session shortly, yeah, that we can see on the Discovery Center, we have here normally missions available and services. You can estimate your stuff. Also for SAP Task Center, for example, and if you look at SAP Task Center, you will find, I think, the service and also the mission, which we are currently also targeting to set up SAP Task Center on BTP. Yeah? And normally, yeah, you get to started here with the started button to start the mission, and then you have the chance also to have a deeper look in the project board, as we had explained also before. So we have some discovery phases. Yeah, that means we have some boards or some cards defined where some general information are available, like subhelp.com, or some announcement which we have done as SAP Task Center went live. And additional, I think that's more interesting is, for example, the commercial prerequisites. Yeah? That means, for example, SAP Task Center is also available as a free tier option, or like CPA and also a subscription-based variant. Yeah? And we have also here in the project board, we're going back here, I think all steps defined how to set up SAP Task Center. Yeah, I think as you are familiar with SAP BTP, you will know, yeah, we need to create a sub account and to do some steps, yeah, which we will do now to easily set up, I think, SAP Task Center. And this took maybe 50 minutes. Then we have SAP Task Center on BTP only up and running. Yeah, we have not connected any LOB, because yeah, there's also another mission available, and especially here for SAP SuccessFactors. Yeah? But the BTP side of the house, we will see now live in the system. So let's do this. Yeah, let's jump into BTP. Yeah, so the basic setup processes. Yeah, as mentioned, also in the project board is now to create a new sub account. Yeah, that's the first thing what we need to do. Yeah, whatever, call it SAP Community. And we can then say, okay, where we want to run this. I think that's quite the same if we're creating a sub account. And as this is done, then we need to entitle, as also described in the project board of the mission, yeah, then the services which are required, and as I've shown up in the architecture. Maybe I'll look on again. Yeah, we need the Launchpad service entitled in the sub account, and we need to have SAP Task Center service entitled in the sub account. And additional, we will build the trust with SAP Cloud Identity Service. Yeah, and that's what we've done now. Now the sub account is available here. I call it SAP Community, as mentioned before. And now we can first of all go to the entitlements. And if we have a look, for example, for tasks, we can see there's nothing available. That means we can easily configure the entitlement here by adding the service plans. And with that, I think we want to have SAP Task Center with a standard plan, and the additional prerequisite is the BTP Launchpad service. So we're using these two services, which we're now adding here to our entitlements for the sub account. And after a few seconds, I guess we will see all the Launchpad service, for example, here as one entitlement, and the second one, which is required, yeah, for sure, is SAP Task Center as prerequisite. Yeah. And the next thing what we need to do is now to build up the trust with the Cloud Identity Service. Yeah, that's going to be also really, I think, easy. Yeah, if your global account has the EIS available, or the CM ID of the customer account has EIS tenants available, you can see now after pressing the Establish Trust button, one or more EIS tenants. In our case, we have some more than one. Yeah, but this is really quite simple. I think in the past, normally the process was to export and import the XAML XML metadata files, but with the OIDC support or MID Connect support, we are now providing all the automation here by pressing simply the button to build a trust with the EIS tenant. Yeah, and the first thing, we can select someone. Yeah, we're using this one, and we can simply create then the trust between the sub account, the trust relationship, and the EIS tenant itself. And after this, and if you may be jumping shortly back in the mission, which I have here show up, is now to say, okay, we have established a trust, or go to start of mission. This is realized, so we have really followed all steps here to define the trust. And the next thing what we are now executing is a BTP booster. So we're delivering here a booster on the BTP for the setup of SAP Task Center, which will handle some activities to instantiate, for example, different service instances, and subscribing, for example, also to the Launchpad service, which we have entitled in the beginning of the hands-on here. That means to execute the booster area of the BTP, let's jump to the booster entry here on the global account area, and then we can have a look on the Task Center, for example, and simply pressing the start button. And now we'll check some general authorization steps and also the entitlements, and as mentioned before, the Task Center entitlement and the Launchpad entitlement, for example, and also the trust relationship is one prerequisite to run the booster successfully for your sub account. Yeah? And as you've seen, entitlements are available, and now we can choose one sub-account where we want to execute the booster. We have decided, I guess, as mentioned, there's a community sub-account, and the org and the space values are here. Some examples, you can change it as well, but currently we're using this one to get started. And finally, I think the last step is a little short summary. I think nothing special here. We can now, by pressing the finish button, execute the booster, and now we are seeing that something will happening in the background. That meaning, in detail, the Cloud Foundry enablement will be done. We are creating a space in the Cloud Foundry environment, subscribing to the Launchpad service, and then creating all the service instances for the SAP Task Center service, and also we are creating then the destination. And if you maybe check in parallel current status of the BTP sub-account, which currently will be set up, we can see there's something happening. So if you go again to the sub-account and check the instances and subscriptions, now we can see here, for example, currently it's Launchpad service will be subscribed, hopefully. It's a live demo successfully. And also the Task Center instance is currently prepared to set up. And that's currently running in the background. And we see here SAP Launchpad service was successfully subscribed now. And the last missing piece is now really to instantiate and create a service key for SAP Task Center service. And what we should now see, let's check the status of the booster. It took a while. Would be then also to have some destinations available. That's also on pro, I guess, from the booster that we are providing. Then if you look on, maybe it's still available. Maybe we should need to wait here. It's not available currently. That we are providing that for each LOB option which we want to connect or can connect, and also in the future, one destination which you need to connect. So if you refresh now, normally this should be available in a few seconds. Let's check it here. It's still on the service instances. I have the same issue yesterday in the garage session, but let's start it again. I think it was resolved by rerunning the booster. I think we need to check why this will be happening, because I got the same yesterday, but we have a bit of time, I guess, to solve this issue. And if not, we have also another option available, which I can show you maybe if we have a buffer on the end of the session to show you how we can use another approach also to set up a SAP Task Center by not using the booster concept here. But let's start first of all with booster, and hopefully this will be executed. In the meanwhile, maybe to save time, and hopefully it will be successfully. We can have also a look maybe again on the BTP sub account. I want to explain something. So if we, as we know, on the architecture level, there was a requirement, and also we have subscribed to the BTP Launchpad service, and to authenticate later on also the user who can administrate the Launchpad service. We need here also to do some modifications. That means to handle this easily with a connected ERS tenant, which is available. We can have here later on a mapping in the groups area. And I will show this hopefully in some seconds. It will be hopefully working now. I'm not sure, it's also Thursday. It's not the best day for BTP, I guess. And if not, then we can also have a look on another variant in parallel. Let's do this maybe to save a bit of time, and we have a lot of time available, but I'm not sure what's happening currently. What we are also providing, and maybe this is also an interesting approach for some guys of you who are really familiar with. Now it's finished, I guess. Then we can first of all finish the setup. Okay, you can see it's working. However, we need the second execution of the booster. We will check this again, why this was happening. But you can see, okay, the booster was executed successfully. And if you're now checking back the sub account, we will see now, that something is here now available. So if we are now going to the destinations area, as I mentioned before, we have now a lot of different destinations available. As explained before, for all LOB solutions, which we will be supported currently or in the near future, here are now the destinations. You need only to define some additional properties like the URL and some OAuth credentials and so on to authenticate against the LOB solution. Another thing what we can now identify is, for example, also the HTML5 applications, which are available now here. So you can see normally now also that we have two applications available. The inbox itself, as shown also by Uta before, and also the admin tile or admin app is available here in the HTML5 repository. So that looks quite good, I guess. And as mentioned before, what we now need to do is really to assign a user on the Cloud Identity Service to a role collection who's able to maintain the Launchpad service. And to easily do this, as started also some minutes before, we are now have a look on the Launchpad admin role, because that is currently our admin, and we want to have now to edit this Launchpad admin role and defining here on the IDP or on the IES tenant, which is bound to the sub account, a group who will have access then to the sub Launchpad admin area or to the site manager. So let's call it again, maybe sub community. And make not a typo, and this will our group name, where we will later on in a few seconds assign the user who will be able to access the Launchpad admin area. So let's save it. Now we need to go over to the Cloud Identity Service. Some of you know this. I think we have here, for example, the information regarding the user management, or the users are stored or used in the EIS tenant. We have also user groups available. This was also this part which I showed before on the BTP sub account. So we're creating here, first of all, maybe a group called sub community, and we will add then later on a user who is part of the group and can then also manage the Launchpad service. And for this, for sure, we need now a user. So let's create a new user to make here all the live daemon. Maybe we'll call it also community, and the email is maybe something like this. Oops, sorry, typo, example.com, and we name it all the subcommunity. We will set for demo purposes directly to active. We want also to go to the user and we'll say, okay, the email is verified because it's a dummy email address, and we save the entry. And finally, we're defining now the initial password, which we need to change later on, but let's do one. Oops. And again, same one to verify we have the right one. That's the initial password. And the last step, as mentioned before, is now to put this user, the community user, now in the user group, which we want to use to administrate the Launchpad service. That means simply click the add button, have a look where sub community user, and save and check marks entry. And then we have a sub community user as part of the group, and he's now able, we see this in, I think, 10 seconds again, also in the Launchpad, to execute and to run then some modification of the Launchpad service to integrate SAP Task Center. And to proceed here, we can now go here to a new session. It's mostly the best case, to jumping again in the BTP cockpit. And now we will execute the Launchpad service. So jumping shortly in the community sub account, go to the services area, instances and subscriptions. And we are now executing the Launchpad service. And here we can choose different IDPs, because we have the standard IDP, the default IDP are still available, and also the new EIS, which we have bound before, as we have created the trust relationship in the sub account, the CR EIS. EIS. And this is one which we want to use, because here we have created also the user before. And now it's time to say we use the sub community user and our initial password. And this should now work. And we can now define a new password. Afterwards, we can jump directly in the config area of the Launchpad servers. And we are mostly finished also here. Yeah? So we see now the site directory, nothing is there. And wherever, now it's coming up. Yeah? We need now to define here our content for executing a site, which is the last step. But now, first step is now to reload the HTML5 repository apps, or the apps in the repository, yeah, simply by clicking on the refresh button. And afterwards, we will see now in the content manager if it's coming up. Yeah. Took a while. Wait a second. Okay, here we are. In the Content Explorer, if you're jumping here in the HTML5 repository, now also the Task Center and Task Center admin application. Let's select Boost Apps and add it to my content. And now if we are switching over to the My Content area, we see now, okay, we have it here. And we can now work with this to integrate it in our Launchpad side. We can simply create a group. Let's take the same name, community group, and add now Boost applications to the group. And the last thing what we need to do, only for demo purposes, we want normally not use everyone role here to add I think approvals for tasks inside, but here I think I use it everyone role to add also now the entries, which we have seen before, the apps. That means we have access into the Task Center app and to the admin app, normally as mentioned, it's logical. So everyone role should not have access to any kind of an administration app. But nevertheless, it's just a demo. And now we can go into the site directory, last step for us, to creating a SAP community site, Launchpad site, and we can see some properties. Maybe one interesting part is here also the integration of the SAP Mobile Start, which also was mentioned by Uta. So we are providing here directly in Launchpad service integration with SAP Mobile Start. That means that the SAP Mobile Start is depends on the Launchpad service. But nevertheless, we should now, as final result, see SAP Task Center now also here in our website or in the Launchpad site. So by opening the SAP Launchpad site, we should now have an identical view like Uta before on the demo, with the only difference that we have now tasks available based on the fact that no LOB is connected here, because this would be normally now the next step to say, okay, if I want to connect LOB, I need to define the destination as I showed before. And with that, I think this demo is finished. As we have a bit time left, let's show you also another way how we can set up Task Center, because that's more, as mentioned, also more on the developer focus who's he's willing to use a terminal, for example. So what we have created, or my colleague Rui, is a kind of an automation which is running on Docker. So we have created here, call it what was called the business the automation, the BTP setup automator to automate some steps. In this case, also for the use case of SAP Task Center, but in general, we want to include or to pack into the container all our tools, which is also available as standalone tools like the BTP CLI or the Cloud Foundry CLI in the Docker container. And that is also now possible to combine this approach with setting up SAP Task Center. And I will show you this also really short, because it's all the talk not so long. So the thing what we need to do first is to say, okay, let's check the use cases which are currently available. As I am the owner of the Task Center use case, and now there is something available and also outlined in the Discovery Center mission. So maybe a short look on this. So we see also here, for example, not only the booster explanation, so also here's the explanation how to use the BTP setup automator to run or to set up SAP Task Center. And it's quite simple. The only thing what we need to execute is this command. For sure, the requirement for this as well is to have Docker up and running on your local machine. Like myself, you can see this here. Docker is up and running. And you need a terminal. And basically then you can only can paste the entry that's working here. Then we can paste our command here, and oops, I think we do use it directly from Docker. It's mostly a bit better here to copy the entry. And now we can have clear shortly and can execute here now the Docker container. We are here. And the last step, what we need to define is, right, here some definitions or some parameters, as for example, the global account of the SAP account, where we want to run SAP Task Center or set up SAP Task Center or the data center, and an admin user like me, for example. And to do so, maybe I've prepared this as well. Let's use the prepared variant. So we can paste it simply here. Our entries, we can see, okay, we are asked to provide our password, and hopefully I put it right. Okay, that's a good example. Okay, second, last step, wait a second, I would put it in the password. You see still my screen, hopefully?
Yes.
So with the terminal, right? And now we can, because my console was, although here we have some issues. Wait a second. If not, then we maybe can provide this later on. Oh, okay, sorry. I think there's something wrong. Guess I have. Okay, wait, last step, and then if not, then we can go over to the Q&A. Whatever. No, okay. Okay, nevertheless, I have also we can provide here, I think, the SAP Garage session where we showed this successfully. But basically, the idea is right here to set up SAP Task Center also with using of the BTP CLI. And that is running also quite cool, I guess. And why ever it is not working, I'm still wondering here as well. But maybe one last check, because I'm really sure that this should be working normally. So if we are executing this again, my last one, please give me this chance. No, why ever? This is not, but it's the right email address. But you can see it's a live demo. No. However, okay. Nevertheless, normally it's possible to create, for example, SAP Task Center directly with the usage of SAP BTP Setup Automator, and it's also a variant. If you are more familiar with the BTP CLI or with the terminal itself, then this should be work in the normal case. But you have also, as mentioned, the option to use the BTP Booster. Or also, the last option which you can have to set up completely manually. And this is also documented in the SAP help document, which is also referenced in the Discovery Center mission. So you can see here, for example, also additional resources. So we have here also outlined some notes, as well as I think the link to the official documentation, and the same is also happening if we are on a community call here. In our community, which we have created here, you can see as well, I think, the resources and all the Discovery Center missions. And please, engage here if you're interested in this topic, and also get in contact with us if you have some questions. And that's basically all from my side. And maybe we can take the last 10 minutes for a question if you have something. And and sorry, one demo was not working, but nevertheless, it's a live session now.
Thank you, Fabian, and thank you, Uta, both of you, for your time. And we already have a question, so why not, as you said, jump right into the Q&A. Does it work on free tier, or can we try it on the trial accounts?
Okay, that's also a prominent question. Yeah, it's only available on free tier, not on trial. Yeah? That means please check again also the Discovery Center mentioned. There's also it explains the commercial prerequisite, but as mentioned, yeah, free tier is supported, but we have not Task Center available on the sub trial landscape.
Thank you. And maybe also quite interesting question. And Uta, you mentioned that in your presentation before. How does third-party integration look like again with Task Center? Oh, you're on
to me
mute.
or to Uta?
So we hear lots of people who would like to integrate third-party applications, various of them, and for sure we have it on the roadmap, but it will be coming later on. So I suppose 2023, you have to wait until then.
Okay, good. Everyone stay tuned. We might have another demo then by the two of you. Yeah, so more questions are very warmly welcome. And for those of you who have been following the chat, there seemed to be some trouble with the link. So yeah, we are one-stop shop for SAP Task Center in the community, where you can read more blog posts, get started, also about with the Discovery Center. Ask your questions if you don't have any right now, is on community.sap.com/topic/task center, task minus center. Yeah, so I shared the link and hopefully that works for you. Have a look, explore, click on follow. This is where you will then get updates if there's new blog posts from the team being published, or questions that you might be interested in as well to follow up. But yeah, that's a very warm welcome for you to join the discussions in the community. With that, I would like to take the opportunity to, yes, have a look if there's further question. And yeah, questions, there's one. Is there a plan to include SAP ECC also in future? Thank you, by the way, Karen, for your questions.
Yes, so currently we don't plan to integrate ECC as this would mean a major implementation on the ECC side also. And so it's not SAP strategy to improve ECC itself. So one possibility for that is that you could have two inboxes next to each other. So the Task Center for most of the applications, and for the moment, one for the ECC. So I know it's not what customers would hope for, but currently it's a decision not to include it. But go to the roadmap from time to time. Maybe you're lucky and there are so many customers who want it that it will be done. You never know.
All right, any further questions or remarks that Uta, you and Fabian want to share?
Not from my side. And maybe we can share also the link to the setup automator later on, also in the chat or in the chat. I can do this. That can be maybe helpful now, but
perfect.
That's all.
Yeah, I'd say everything important covered. The participants also took the chance to address questions, and again, even after the call, you can continue. And I see here's another one. SAP Process Automation has my inbox as a part of workflow management. Will this replace that in future?
This is the approach. So as I told you, so we will start integrating with SAP Task Center and Process Automation in Q3, and then we'll see how far we get, and then you can go over from my inbox to SAP Task Center. Yeah.
Cool. All right, then, yeah, everyone, let us know how you liked this community call. Give us a thumbs up, or even, yeah, write in the community if you have further suggestions for community calls. We're very open and happy to deliver more topics that are of interest for you. And yeah, for everyone that was watching, thank you for your time. Also for Karen, for your questions, very, very appreciated, very good questions. So thank you. And with that, I'd like to end this community call, hopefully to see you soon in one of the following ones. And yeah, have a great day, everyone. And thanks again to Fabian and Uta.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay. Oh.